Hey everyone, and welcome to Cinderbrew Meadery M+ Guide for Warlocks. This is a chaotic dungeon filled with tons of stacking dots, party-wide damage, and gallons upon gallons of honey and mead. So strap on your drinking hats and let the brew flow. Brewmaster Aldryr is a straightforward fight with two intermissions at 66 and 33% HP. During the main phase, the boss will frequently keg smash the tank, spilling hot honey on the ground. He'll also cast Throw Cinderbrew on several players, applying a dot and creating more honey pools beneath them. Lastly, he targets a random player with Blazing Belch, unleashing a deadly cone attack that must be dodged. At 66 and 33% HP, Aldryr jumps behind the bar, stops attacking, knocks everyone away, and becomes disregarding, reducing his damage taken by 99%. During this phase, impatient patrons will demand drinks while dealing heavy party-wide damage and reducing everyone's haste. Your goal is to take drinks from the counter and serve them as quickly as possible to relieve the healing pressure. Use Demonic Circle, Demonic Gateway, and Burning Rush to speed up the process, but watch your health and use defensives when needed. Once all patrons are served, the boss returns to the fight, and Crawling Brawl begins, spawning clouds of fighting patrons. Coming into contact with these clouds stuns you and deals high ticking damage, so avoid them while continuing to handle the boss as before. One of the available paths after Aldryr leads to Ipa, a feisty elemental. On this fight, ad management and boss positioning are all that matters. The boss periodically casts Spouting Stout, covering the room in mead, dealing party-wide damage and spawning dodgeable ground circles. The last few circles will spawn brew drops, which slowly move towards the boss. If a brew drop reaches Ipa, it triggers massive party-wide damage and grants the boss 10% HP shield. If brew drops aren't killed quickly enough and reach 100 energy, they become frothy, gaining 200% increased movement speed and rushing towards Ipa. When the ads die, they leave behind oozing honey, from which they reform after a short delay. Luckily, this only happens once. On their second death, they're gone for good. Finally, the boss randomly afflicts party members with Burning Fermentation, a dispellable magic dot. Use your imp to assist with dispels. The other wing of the dungeon is home to Benk Buzzbee, a crazed beekeeper. This encounter also revolves around ad management. Shortly after engaging him and periodically throughout the fight, the boss will cast Snack Time, summoning barrels of honey. If you stand beneath them when they land, you'll get squashed. Every 30 seconds, each barrel will attract a ravenous Cinderbee. Your goal is to burn them down as fast as possible. Cinderbees will jump to random players, stinging them with Shredding Sting, a stacking bleed dot. Upon reaching 1% HP, bees become docile, allowing you to mount them. Their ability, Bee Ha, will destroy any barrels of honey it hits. Try to position yourself to take out at least one barrel as quickly as possible. Unless destroyed by Bee Ha, the barrels linger around indefinitely. Benk will also occasionally coat a tank in honey, causing them to drop honey pools on the ground. Do not stand near these pools. If a bee jumps to you and you're too close to one, it will start eating the honey, becoming honey gorged. This makes it heal, become immune to CC, and gain 50% haste. Besides all this, the boss will periodically command his main bee to flutter its wings, dealing moderate party-wide damage, so watch out. Goldie Baronbottom also has barrel management, but unlike Benk's, these barrels are highly explosive. At the start of the encounter and roughly every minute after, Goldie will cast Spread the Love, dropping a large number of barrels into the room. Some of these barrels will be volatile, making them appear bigger. On their own, barrels don't do much, but if struck by one of Goldie's abilities, they explode, sending out fire waves in multiple directions and knocking back anyone caught in them. When a volatile barrel explodes, it applies Cindering Wounds, a strong stacking dot, to the entire party. Cash Cannon targets the tank, making Goldie fire a massive frontal cone. Anyone caught in the blast will take heavy damage, so do not stand near the tank when this is being cast. Burning Ricochet marks several players, dealing damage to them and anyone standing in their circle after a few seconds. It also applies a dispellable dot, so playing with your imp to remove it is a bonus. Additionally, any barrel caught in the circle will ignite and explode, so when marked, try to detonate some. Upon reaching 100 energy, Goldie will cast her ultimate ability, Let It Hail, dealing pulsating party-wide damage and causing all remaining barrels to explode simultaneously. Trash mobs in Cinderbrew Meadery are numerous and bring a variety of dangerous abilities. Venture Co. Pyromaniacs have two notable spells. Erupting Inferno places a dispellable magic effect on random players, causing them to pulse damage to themselves and anyone nearby. They also cast Boiling Flames, a channel spell that should always be interrupted. Tasting Room attendants create flaming circles on the ground that deal heavy damage and disorient anyone caught inside. The most dangerous enemy in the first area is Chef Chewy, a mini-boss who buffs all nearby mobs, making them immune to crowd control and significantly increasing their damage. He also casts Standardize, a powerful party-wide AoE that knocks everyone back. His High Stakes ability sends dodgeable chunks of meat flying across the room. Hired Muscles apply a party-wide dot with Volatile Keg. While not too dangerous on its own, in combination with other threats in the area, it can push your healer to their limit. This mob also flings chairs at random players, adding even more damage pressure, so be extra mindful. If you have 25 skill points in Aldryr cooking, you can interact with Honeypot in the first zone to obtain Sticky Honey, a one-time use extra action button that slows enemies and reduces their haste. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on bosses. In Ipa's wing of the dungeon, you'll encounter Flavor Scientists. They cast Failed Batch, spawning a barrel of failed brew that must be destroyed quickly before it explodes, dealing heavy party-wide damage and applying a strong dot. They also cast Rejuvenating Honey on random enemies, applying a healing overtime effect that should be interrupted or consumed with your Fellhunter. Careless Hobgoblins charge randomly, dealing damage and knocking back anyone in their path. When they collide with a wall, they deal party-wide damage and stun themselves. Upon hitting a wall or dying, they also spawn brew drops, which leave behind pools of oozing honey. Taste testers are dangerous in large numbers, periodically increasing their damage by 100% and throwing free samples at random players. On the other side of the dungeon, in Benk Buzzbee's wing, you'll encounter Bee Wranglers. They cast Bestial Wrath, increasing their own and nearby bees' damage for 15 seconds. They also use Beezooka, a straight line attack that deals damage and knocks back anyone hit. To avoid it, you can move to the edge of the animation line. Worker bees jump between players, applying a stacking bleed dot with each sting. When they reach low health, they cast Final Sting, applying the same bleed dot but dying in the process. Do not interrupt them in this, as you will only delay their death. Venture Co. Honey Harvesters cast Swarming Surprise, a stacking dot, to the entire party. They also use Beeswax, which creates a damaging circle that stuns anyone caught inside. Royal Jelly Purveyors cast Dodgeable Rain of Honey, and Honey Volley, which applies a stacking slow combined with a dot. Both Ipa's and Benk's wings contain a flamethrower at the start of their respective corridors. If you're a goblin, gnome, mecha gnome, or a garden gnome, or have 25 skill points in Aldryr Engineering, you can pick it up to clear your path with fire. Before the final boss, you'll face 4 adds that function as a singular entity. Killing one causes the others to evolve. Because the remaining adds heal to full upon the death of one, focus down a single target rather than cleaving. They all cast the same dodgeable jump, regardless of their evolution stage. When one Yes-Man dies, the remaining 3 evolve into Ascent Blokes, gaining field promotion which heals them to full, increase their damage by 100% and makes them immune to crowd control. This process repeats when an Ascent Bloke dies, upgrading others into Agree Gentleman, and again when one Agree Gentleman dies, creating the final form, Concur Sir. And that's it. Everything you need to know to get yourself out of sticky Cinderbrew situations. If you found this guide helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button, as it means so much to me. You can also follow me on Twitch, where I stream almost every day. Remember to soulstone and good luck.